right, we are good to go. So this is Erin Mason, and I am with the School Counseling Interest Network that is part of ACES, and we're continuing our interviews this year, and we're starting off the year talking about the fifth Evidence-Based School Counseling Conference. This year it's going to be in San Diego. So with me today is Brett Zyromski at The Ohio State University and Ian Martin at University of San Diego. And they're going to give us some details about the conference here. So we'll just dig in and start with just the basic details of the conference, where, when, a little bit about the location. So Ian, if you'll fill us in on those details.
No problem. So we are very pleased to host the conference this year. We've been active members of the conference for the last 4 years, and so it's really our pleasure to have you all in San Diego this year. We have secured an excellent venue in San Diego. It's the Kroc Center, and it's right across the street from the School of Education. It's just a beautiful building, a great amphitheater. There's a outdoor area with a reflecting pool, and you can see the whole view of the bay, Mission Bay right there, all the way down to Point Loma, and if it's a clear day, down to the Coronado Bridge. So it's just a great venue to spend a few days, and we're really excited to have you all here. The conference is March 10th and 11th, 2017. And then we are kind of doing a save the date on a research day on Sunday, the 12th. We're going to talk a lot more about that in a few minutes. So those are the general details of the day, of the conference.
And I know you said too that there are more details on the website as it refers to things like the hotels and.
Exactly. So on the C-SCORE website, we have some details around proposals as well as hotels, and there's going to be shuttles from the hotels. We actually have a really unique relationship with the area hotels at the University of San Diego. We have a 15% discount from a whole host of different hotels, that from lower end price points to some higher end opportunities. So you can just go on there and you can see that there's about 8 different hotels with that USD partnership discount.
Great, thanks, Ian.
Sure.
Okay, so I think next what we would like to talk about is just for those maybe who haven't been at the evidence-based conference or haven't been in the last couple of years, a little bit about the history of the conference and the people that have been behind running it and organizing it, because it's certainly quite an undertaking. So Brett, you're probably the best person to give us that point of view.
Sure. The Evidence-Based School Counseling Conference, the first one was in 2013, and it was in Northern Kentucky, hosted kind of by Northern Kentucky University. Dr. Jen Stansbury-Koenig was in the Northern Kentucky University Center for Educator Excellence, and she helped found it. So originally it was founded with the Center for School Counseling, Outcome Research and Evaluation, Jay Carey and Carrie Dimmitt. And the focus was on basically equipping practicing school counselors with the skills that they need to be able to know what to target, know what works, know how to evaluate, and then disseminate those results with other educational stakeholders. And along with that main focus, it also was a focus on school counselor education, evidence-based education, because there's not a lot of research on that, and there's not a lot of networking around that basically among school counselor educators. There's also originally, this is our original focus, so those 2 focuses, as well as a focus on how to write grants for those types of endeavors, how to write grants to get funded to expand evidence-based practice, and basically RAMP also. So the RAMP process of being data-driven was always kind of a core component of the conference as well. And then over the last 4 years, I think last year especially kind of expanded as Pam Paisley and George McMahon hosted it with the Innovations Conference in University of Georgia, and that was fantastic. It was a great venue, and I think people found it really beneficial to have them together. And the feedback after that was, again, school counselor educators need a little bit more emphasis, and so this year we kind of continue to expand on that. We have the string that's related only to school counselor education topics and evidence-based practice. And I think that there may be a not a complete, full understanding of what that means in school counselor education. So that actually is quite a broad scope as far as making data-driven decisions. How do we educate our own students? How do we help other people understand the evidence-based process and all the components of the evidence-based process? So we're excited to kind of interweave school counselor education, make it a larger part of the conference this year.
Great. So that kind of gets us into the next question, which is what is different this year? So Brett, if you want to start, you've kind of already talked about it a little bit, but just tell us what's going to be different this year.
Sure. I think the differences are really more evolutions, in the sense that the core mission of the conference has always been the ones that we just kind of discussed and talked about. And so we're really trying to create more opportunities, I think, more than anything else, more opportunities for students, more opportunities, because the conference is already founded and focused on practitioners and helping practitioners teach practitioners. And then we found is that our advisory council, who's like 30 members, a majority of school counselor educators and from around the country, and they're the most mobile, which is why the conference started moving around the country, because the call from school counselors was, we can't travel every year, and so if you could bring it near us, we would go. And so that's why we started moving it. And then school counselor educators tend to be the infrastructure of the conference, the heart and soul of it, as far as planning goes, as far as realizing, how do we reach people, what does the conference look like, how does it evolve, while maintaining the heart of the conference as practitioners training practitioners, and then school counselors. How does that influence us? How does that impact our work? How does that inform our work? What does that cycle look like? Because we inform that work too. Obviously they go hand in hand. So I think this year we're just trying to create more opportunities for doc students to get involved, whether it be poster presentations, full presentations. In previous years, the poster presentation was kind of designed for the doc students. We've opened that up to anybody. So anyone can do poster presentations, anyone can do full presentations. There's 2 links, separate links, one for full, one for poster. And just trying to get people kind of networked and involved. And I think we're trying to figure that out right now, as far as how do we get people networked throughout the conference to talk about common research interests, talk about common research agendas and paths and things like that, and then maybe network those school counselor educators and their research agendas with school districts that are willing to work with them in ways that we've never done before. So as far as never before at the conference. So I think, Ian, can you think of other ways that we're evolving it?
I really think that we're thinking a little bit more creatively, intentionally about creating the space for those networks to happen. And we're really talking about kind of a connection between practitioners, researchers, leaders within districts and states, so you can really kind of get into some of the partnerships that need to occur in order to move some of these research agendas forward. And really creating that space is crucial to these larger scale projects that we really need in school counseling. So as well as kind of looking at the micro level, where you're enhancing your research skills, you're gaining new information around different evidence-based practices, you're maybe looking at a certain strategy. Those micro level components are all going to be there. But then we also want to look at some of the macro level systems kind of pieces, where you really need to connect the dots. You need to partner with people. You need to take an idea from the beginning and move that idea along through some more extended partnerships. And we really would like that to happen at this conference, and it's something that we want to create the space for with this year. And I think it has been happening, but maybe not as intentionally as we would like. And so really making sure that people have the space for that is important to us.
So Ian, do you want to tell us a little bit about the call for proposals and just the categories that we're looking for things for?
Sure. If you bear with me, it's a little bit longer this year, but we did streamline the whole proposal process. They are due October 1st, so there's a pretty quick turnaround there if you haven't thought about putting a proposal in. But I think you still have, given how brief it is now, I think that there's still a good chance for you to put a full proposal in by that time. So we have just a title, a brief description of the program, and that's just 100 words. And we noticed that there was a lot of overlap between goals and objectives, and there was maybe some confusion there. So we really just wanted to streamline it. We have a 500 words or less presentation goal. So we're talking about bullets and really just getting to the nitty gritty of what the presentation is about. And then we have expanded the session topics. And we actually have 9 different session topics that cover a pretty wide range of areas of interest. And we would be, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a topic area that wouldn't fit your research agenda. So we've really vetted this with a lot of different people, and feel we have a pretty wide range of offerings. And counselor educators definitely have a topic here. School counselor educator topics related to evidence-based practices. I'm on a research group through T-Scain, and that's definitely one that we are planning on clicking when we submit in the next few days. So we have other areas here. I think that for time, I don't want to read through these, but I would encourage you to look at those topic areas and let us know if there is an other there as well. So if we did miss one, we really want to make this as inviting as possible and really show that evidence-based practice has a place in many different topic areas. And I think that expanding this has kind of moved that message a little bit further forward. And so, but we are always interested in some feedback there.
Okay. And I definitely just wanted to put a plug in. If you haven't been to the conference, it's really extremely energizing. And I'm excited about the new directions and the evolutions, as you've said, because I feel like what this conference is helping us do is put action to our words. And we talk a lot about the need for more research and stronger, more rigorous research in the field, but it's not, sometimes we need more support around that and we can't do it on our own. And so I'm really just very excited about the energy that comes with this conference and trying to move us forward in that particular direction. So we do have as Ian mentioned, a research day that is going to be in addition to the conference. I think it's the Sunday, the March 12th is the date. And so at the moment, it's just being, it's still in the works. It's, I think, as you said, Ian, is sort of a vision at this moment, but anything that you want to say just about the research day, either of you?
Yeah, I think that it builds off of Laura Owen and Jeff Warren's and T-Scain and Interest Network last year in Georgia. And Laura Owen and Jeff Warren had created a research day there that was built around kind of what do we need to do to obtain grants and what do we need to do to get involved with IES? How do we expand the ability of school counselor educators to do research that's nationally funded? And so from that, there really came out, and I mean, there's always been an interest in kind of coordinating and networking people around research topics. And so with the evidence-based school counseling conference, with the focus being on kind of skill building, one of the evolutions with the research day for us was I feel personally unequipped in some ways to do the research that I want to do. And so the research day, one of the focuses, and I think Ian can talk about kind of how the whole thing fits together, but one of the focuses on skill building around areas that some of us are lacking in, and some we, like you mentioned, we continually kind of call for more rigorous researchers and really strong school counselor educator researchers. And there's only a few programs in the country that are really producing these people. And so those of us that are in the field are self-teaching. And so this is a place where you can kind of come and learn some skills that may benefit your research agenda from people that are doing these skills. And then there's a couple other things, and I'll kind of transition off of that. Ian kind of talk about the big picture of the day, I think. But for me, that's one of the exciting things. And being on a Sunday, it gives us logistically the college as well. And so I'll transition off on that.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about kind of how this came about as far as some of those logistics. So being a Sunday, we have kind of full reign of our School of Education, which is also a very nice venue, but it's going to be more of an intimate setting. So we really, are looking at a successful research day on Sunday if there's, 20 people there. I think that's fine. We want to have a smaller venue, an opportunity to really, work on skills, make those personal connections that are necessary to really address some of our research needs and have some of those longer ended conversations. We also are going to think about maybe having some longer sessions. So looking at more of a workshop model, something, tentatively around, 2 hours, something like that, to where we can really get into some of that skill building activity. We also want to keep it very casual. We want to have, maybe a later start so you can sleep in a little bit. And then, also have maybe a more of a, al fresco lunch outside on the terrace kind of thing. And we are also looking at keeping the price point as close to zero as possible, with only looking at maybe, if you want to participate in lunch, having a fee there. But we really want it to be an incentive for you to stay that extra day. And then we're looking at maybe doing something more socially in the afternoon, maybe at the beach or something like that. So we're looking for a casual vibe. That's a very California word, but there you go. We are looking for a casual vibe, something that where you're working on skills, creating again those networks and moving some of we're looking at moving research agendas forward as well. We're looking at one of the things with evidence-based practice we've noticed, especially when we talk to practitioners as well as other counselor educators, there's a stigma around it that it's this idea that it's big research and kind of scary and it has to be super rigorous and you're doing, a bunch of randomized control studies or something with, high level stats. And if you're not, a high level statistician, that you're going to be, dinged on something or caught not knowing everything about it. And we really want to decrease some of that stigma around, research. People have, amazing ideas, practitioners as well as counselor educators. And we want to team with maybe people that are skilled in some of those research areas. We want to learn from them or team with them so that we can, move forward and play to our strengths within our field. And so we want to take away some of that stigma and have a little bit more fun within research and evidence-based practice, and so that's definitely something that we're trying to move toward with this conference.
Great.
And the research day.
Excellent. Yeah, it's very exciting, and I know I'm certainly excited as a participant, but also to help with anything that you all need in terms of putting the conference on. Any sort of last minute things that you want to remind folks about related to the conference?
As Ian was talking, I was thinking this is probably the first year where space registration may be closed after a period of time, because the networking in Southern California is pretty strong as far as bringing in school counselors. And so as Ian and I have been talking, and Terry Dimmitt, obviously, there is a chance that, we pack the Kroc Center to the point where we shut down registration. So I think school counselor educators have more of a ability to plan ahead and say, I can or can't make this, this weekend in March. And registration is relatively inexpensive. It's as low as it can go to pay for the conference and the space, and that's it. It's never a money-making enterprise. It's just paying for the facilities. So I would say that, and then Ian, was also talking about on Sunday about maybe small. Again, we're not sure. Since it's free, except for paying for your own lunch, we're not sure what the interest is going to be. So that Sunday also is going to be registration based when we do open it up. So I guess just a heads up to people that in previous years, when you come to Northern Kentucky, we had a space where we knew we had, if 100 people showed up on the day of, we still had the space. In the Georgia Center, I think that was still the case. But if we pack 400 people into the Kroc Center, we're going to be shutting down registration. So I think that's new this year, and I guess I'll say that now so that people that are interested at all can go on the website, explore, look at the registration, kind of get in a little earlier than they may have otherwise, just because we don't want it to get to be January, February, and the school counselors then are making their decisions and are deciding they're going, and then the space fills up.
Yeah, I think that's a good heads up. We do have a conference, a state conference, and there are over 1,000 school counselors that are going to be attending that in the fall, and that registration is already taken off. So 6 million students in California, 10,000 schools. It definitely is a different scale in terms of these types of venues filling up. So that is a great heads up. So thank you for that.
Excellent. Well, we will make sure that we send out, in addition to the link to this video, we'll also share the link to the C-SCORE webpage for the conference. But I want to thank both of you, not only for your work on putting the conference on, but for your time this morning to tell us a little bit more about the details. And hopefully this will help in recruiting not only participants, but proposals as well. So thank you both very much.
Yeah, thank you.